Om Shri Satguru Mujiji Ki Jai. Om Satguru Anantaji Ki Jai. Namaste. Welcome to the Advaita channel. I'm very happy to again be reading from The Transparency of Things, Contemplating the Nature of Experience by Rupert Spira. As usual, I'll be reading up to the natural breaks in the book, and there'll be some silence in between. So as we read, there is much sort of pointing to that which is not, that which is false, that which is imagined, the conceptual beliefs and assumptions that create this sense of being a separate self, create the delusion of separation, and allow us to come into the recognition, deeper experience of that which we are, the presence of awareness. What we are, it is. The fact that there is experience tells us two things. It tells us that there is consciousness, that whatever it is that is conscious is present and aware, that it is witnessing or experiencing whatever it is that is being experienced. We refer to this consciousness as I, as me. It is the subjective element in every experience. We do not know what that consciousness is, but we know that it is. What we are conscious of does not tell us anything about the nature of consciousness, other than that it is conscious and present, that it is. We know that it is present, that it has being. The fact that there is experience also tells us that there is something that is being experienced, that something is present. This something is the objective element in every experience. It is everything that is not me, not I, not consciousness. We refer to it as that or it. We may not know what this something is, yet there is no doubt that something is being experienced. It may be an illusion, a dream, or a hallucination, and yet still it is something. It has existence, it has being, it has reality. What has been stated so far could be formulated simply as I, the subject, experiences it or that, the object. It is the common view of experience. What is not so common is to see clearly that we do not in fact know what anything truly is. We do not know the real nature of experience. We know nothing objective for certain. In fact, the mind, by definition, can never know the true nature of experience. However, it is not necessary to know the true nature of experience, because if we make a deep exploration of our experience, we discover that what we fundamentally are is the true nature, the reality of all that is perceived. What we are, it is. However, this identity of ourself with the reality of all things is not an objective knowing. In this unknowing, simply the fact that there is something, that there is being, that there is consciousness, is the most extraordinary thing. In the light of this, walking on water or teleporting through space is no more remarkable than a speck of dust or the fly that has just landed on this table. That the presence of consciousness and being are known as one in the knowing of the speck of dust makes the speck of dust the most extraordinary miracle. It is for this reason that the Kashmiri Shivites called this exploration of experience a yoga of wonder, astonishment, and delight. We simply stand open, empty, silent, unknowing, and wondrous. Of course, into this openness, formulations arise that are appropriate responses to the current situation. They come from the situation itself, and as a result, they are hand in glove with it. One example of such a response may be a formulation about the nature of reality. This formulation will be a provisional response to a question or situation. However, when the situation vanishes, the response vanishes with it. The response never frames reality, although it is an expression of it and points towards it. The response arises from this unknowingness, dances with the question for a while, and then merges with it, returning it to its source, silence. In fact, the real response is silence itself. It is silence that consumes the question. Namaste, Andrew. Thank you for letting me know that the sound is okay. It's really helpful, actually, very helpful. Thank you. Lovely to have you here, the reading. If we take the subjective aspect of experience first, we see that it is impossible to know anything objective about it, about I, about consciousness. The simple reason for this is that anything that is known is by definition an object. Anything we think we know about the subject is immediately transferred to the status of object. It becomes the known, not the knower. Normally, we identify this knowing I or consciousness with the mind and the body. We think that the mind and the body are me, I, the subject, and that everything else is the world, that, it, the object. There is already a lack of clarity in this view, because the mind and the body are known. They are not the knower. They cannot, therefore, be what we refer to as I. It is clear from this that I, consciousness, although undeniably present, cannot be known as an object. It is the knower of whatever is known. However, consciousness also knows itself, because knowing is its nature. It is always present, and therefore it always knows itself. To know itself, in this sense, is to be itself. Its being itself is its knowing itself. Knowing and being are identical when referring to consciousness. Turning now to the objective aspect of experience. The mind and the senses are the instruments through which whatever is experienced is known. They are the instruments of perception. We do not know what it is that is being experienced, but whatever it is experienced through the faculties of the mind and the senses. Therefore, if we are to discover the real nature of the known, the reality of the world, independent of the instruments through which they are known, we must divest the known of the qualities that are imparted by the instruments of perception. That which is imparted by the mind is the name, the concept of what an object is. From the seamless totality of experience, we abstract an object and call it, say, a chair. That which is imparted by the senses is form, that is, shape, colour, touch, taste, smell, sound. If these faculties were different, the world would appear differently. We substantiate the abstraction that we have labelled chair with qualities of sensation such as hard or red. We clothe reality in name and form. What are the qualities of the known that are independent of the instruments through which they are known? What remains of the known when the faculties through which it is known are removed? The existence or reality of the known remains. That is, whatever it is that belongs to the known, that does not belong to mind or senses, remains. Everything apart from the existence or being or reality of an object is removed with the removal of the instruments of perception, with the removal of mind. Anything objective that could be said about this reality belongs to the realm of mind or senses, to that through which reality is manifest, and so cannot be inherent in it. However, we can say that reality exists, that it is, that it has being. So we are left with the understanding that when experience is divested of name and form, when experience is divested of the individual faculties through which it is perceived or apprehended, only the presence of consciousness and existence remains. What is the relationship between consciousness and existence? Both consciousness and existence are present in every experience, and yet neither have objective qualities. If they were different from one another, they would have to have defining qualities that distinguished and separated them. We have already seen that all such defining qualities belong to the realm of the mind or senses, to the faculties of knowing, sensing, and perceiving, and are therefore not inherent in consciousness or existence. Therefore, if consciousness and existence are both present in every experience, and yet neither of them have any qualities, they cannot be separate. Consciousness and existence are one and the same. That is our moment by moment experience. We started with a model of experience that seemed to support the idea of a subject knowing an object through the medium of mind and senses. When the cloak or veil of mind and senses, of name and form, is removed, we are left with consciousness and existence. When we look at our experience of consciousness and existence, we find that they are identical. This may seem like an abstract and complex line of reasoning that bears little relation to our day-to-day experience. But this realization of the identity of consciousness and existence is in fact a very common and familiar experience. It is known as happiness or peace. We could say that when the knowing of any object is relieved of its objective qualities, the identity of consciousness and existence is revealed. This revelation is known as happiness in relation to the body, peace in relation to the mind, and beauty in relation to the world. It is the mind and the senses that seem to separate the oneness of consciousness, existence, into two parts, into me and other, this and that, subject and object. The mind and the senses are like a prism through which the oneness of consciousness existence appears to be refracted into 10,000 things. It is because of this veiling power of mind and senses that some spiritual traditions have shunned the body and the world, seeing them as a dangerous realm of illusion that distracts attention from the oneness of consciousness existence. However, although there is a place in the unfolding of understanding for this interpretation of mind and senses, because such a view enables us to stand back from their veiling power, it ultimately keeps the body and the world at a distance, and therefore perpetuates the illusion of duality. In fact, the mind and senses do not actually divide consciousness from existence. They only appear to do so. There is nothing illusory about the world. It is the separation between the existence of the world and the presence of consciousness that is illusory. This illusion of a separate and independent existence is created through mind and senses. It is the creativity of consciousness through the faculties of mind and senses which refracts oneness into a dance of apparent multiplicity. Time is the first language of the mind. Space is the first language of the senses. Remove time and space from experience. That is, remove name and form, and we are left with the oneness of consciousness existence. We are left with timeless, spaceless presence, with being. Being shines in the self as consciousness and in the world as existence. However, mind and senses are not imposed from the outside onto the oneness of consciousness existence. They proceed from within it. If we explore the actual experience of mind and senses, we find that their very substance is the consciousness existence from which they proceed. We could say that consciousness existence gives birth to mind and senses, which give birth to time and space, which in turn give birth to the world, to 10,000 things. We could say that consciousness existence takes a prodigal journey, apparently out of its own kingdom, into the realm of mind and matter. It is as though the seamlessness of consciousness existence unfolds itself to become the world and then folds itself back up again, folds the world back into itself. We experience this every time we make the transition from deep sleep to the dreaming state, and from the dream state to the waking state. At first, mind is created within the timeless unity of deep sleep, in which oneness abides in its own unmanifest condition, and in which everything is enfolded in potential. We could say that this oneness of deep sleep metamorphoses into mind, takes the shape of mind. This creates the world of dreams, of subtle images, in which time but not space is present. Then the oneness of deep sleep creates within itself, or becomes, the faculties of sensing and perceiving, without ever becoming anything other than itself. And as a result, space is created. With the appearance of this new dimension, the waking state appears and within and with it the world. At no time in this process is there an entity that wakes up, that proceeds from deep sleep to the dream state, or from the dream state to the waking state. It is rather that the oneness of deep sleep grows within itself, conceives and gives birth within itself to the dreaming and waking worlds, which appear to proceed out of the womb of presence, but in fact always remain within it. That which is present in deep sleep, or rather that which is deep sleep, remains as the background and substance of the dreaming and waking states. As soon as this is seen clearly to be the fact of our experience, the veiling power of mind and senses is transformed into a revealing power. The mind and senses are double agents. They work for both ignorance and understanding. This realization is the moment the prodigal son turns round and proceeds back towards the Father on exactly the same path that he originally took on his flight away from him. This is also the moment at which the traditional spiritual path of renunciation becomes the tantric path of embrace and inclusion. It is the moment at which the full spectrum of experience is welcomed, explored, and celebrated for what it truly is. It is the transition from I am nothing to I am everything, from the path of discrimination to the path of love. It is the moment when the emptiness of consciousness recognizes itself as the fullness of experience. It is the moment at which consciousness recognizes that it projects the world within itself rather than from or out of itself. We no longer feel that we are an entity located here and now, in the sense of being inside the body at a particular moment of time. Rather, we come to understand the now as timeless presence, not a moment in time, and the here as placeless presence, not a location in space. The mind, the body, and the world are understood to be expressions of consciousness rather than distractions from it. The identity of I and that is realized. They do not unite. They have always been united. In fact, they are not even united, for they were never two things to begin with. Only now their unity is recognized. It recognizes itself. Thank you for joining me on the Advaita channel today in this experiential understanding. It's been a real joy to read, to experience this deep recognition where mind senses are no longer a distraction. They only reveal this. Om Shri Sadguru Mujiji Ki Jai. Om Shri Sadguru Anantaji Ki Jai. Thank you, Andrew, for joining me today. For anyone else that's been here that's silent, thank you.